This isn't your typical motorsports podcast. You're listening to Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by High Octane Coffee and J Concepts. A show where we take you inside the minds of your favorite drivers, past and present, of the monster truck industry. And now, your hosts, Brad Shaw and Dan Chichagash. Buckle in. The show starts now.
Hey, what's going on? Another episode of Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast presented by J Concepts. Happy holidays. Like I said, the episode that we had last week with Ken Grum from Shark Attack and all those trucks, Wild Thing, all the trucks that he did with. Thank you once again to Mark Warner. There we go. Sorry about that, but thank you for the episode that they had there. That was a day before the Christmas. Hope your guys' Christmas is rocking. This episode is on the 31st. We're New Year's Eve. People are hanging out, getting ready to go and stuff like that. So we're getting ready for Greenville, South Carolina. Monster Jam Arena Championships East Tour. We're going to be at Greenville, Kurt and Mark, Raminator, Ramunition. We also got the Chulutskas, Just Get Her Done, and Megalodon, Tony Oaks in Thunder Roars, Kristen Anderson and Gravedigger. I think we got MJ in El Toro Loco. And I believe now we have a previous guest on our show. I forget his name, but Monster Mount Dalmatian will be him. So we'll have that going on, which is pretty cool to have. So we're going to Greenville, South Carolina. Once again, guys, want to thank our sponsors, J Concepts, for what they have done. Go to jconcepts.net, type in Crush This to get 15% off all your items on stuff to do. Like I said before, right here, we haven't really talked about it, but this is my Bigfoot Chrome Illusion RC truck that I run with on Trigger King as my sport mod. And this has a 2005 Ford F-250 body with the JB Scale graphics wrap of the Bigfoot Chrome Illusion. And then, let me go back here. So that's the truck, a little bit dusty, but we'll be all right. It has the J Concepts tributes and the Renegade tires. And also with that too, we do have the awesome silent turn, 17 turn motors on this truck and all that jazz too. So, before everything drops on me, and put that back right there on the shelf, right behind the bed, getting too excited there. But, yeah, go to jconcepts.net, 15% off. Crush This. Type that in. Have some fun getting ready for the winter season and all that jazz too. So once again, if you guys have seen this hat and also our t-shirts, go to, let's change the branding there. Go to our spread shop. T-shirts, hats, stuff like that. Go get that stuff. Helps the podcast out. Once again, also, thank you for the 5-star likes and reviews. I'm doing these this is a recording, not going to lie. Brad's right now probably celebrating with the family. And we'll be back the week after for a brand new. It's kind of cool that the last episode of 2025 is on the last day. So we're going to get ready for the 2025 season. 10th anniversary of Crush This. Can't wait. I'll let you know who'll be the guest in. It's going to be pretty cool. Can't beat that. But once again, go there. To that also, go to get Bryce Kenny's book, Gears for Life, Making the Shift into Your Full Potential. Go take a look at that on Amazon.com. We just free support that for him. He doesn't really need to, but we help him out and stuff. So, and also our last person we like to thank beforehand is Mike Welch. if you want to get the People's Pete, the Super Pete, send your money order there to help out, become a sponsor, and all that jazz to help his program out. We want him to be at the Bigfoot Open House 50th anniversary, and that'd be pretty cool to see. But like I said, go take a look. Monster Jam. Also, the Toughest Monster Truck Tour. Our guest tonight for this wonderful program is Jared Smith. He's a driver for DCT Powersports. And he's also going to be debuting a new truck this season for them. But first, before we have him on, we got to thank a couple of our sponsors and then get ready for awesome, fun interview and enjoy yourself, folks. So we'll be right back. Yeah, still new to this stuff, you know.
Are you ready to get in on the action here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel? Look no further. Head over to Facebook where you can sign up for all the great events we host right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Be sure to sign up for the events and register your name and get locked in with a monster truck of your own and get ready for the great thrills and spills right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Again, find us on Facebook, register for these events, and you soon will be competing in all the great events. We hope to see you there. And get ready for the wild and crazy action. Be sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss a beat right here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel.
Well, man. Well, we have Jared on here. Man, how you been doing? And pretty excited, huh?
I'm very excited. Also very cold. Winter decided to come this week for us.
Oh, no. Yeah, I hear you on that and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy going on. You know, the big snow that hit our area, not really big. It's just really annoying. But, man, let's go back. And we always do like a timeline type deal. And wanted to know, like, how did you get started? Were you always a fan of monster trucks? Do you still remember the first show you ever been to? What got you introduced to the sport?
So funny story. My buddy took me to a WWE show at the Dome in St. Louis, and I understand why people like it. It is definitely entertaining, but for me, it just wasn't what I enjoy to watch for entertainment. So I actually almost didn't accept my invite to my first monster truck show. But he's like, dude, you got to do it. We got to go. There's a Monster Jam show in St. Louis. In 2009, I was 11 years old. I believe it was 2009. Jim Kohler cased the double bus deck and wadded his truck. Chris Bergeron cased the double bus deck, wadded the truck. Mark McDonald cased the bus deck and endoed. And it was absolutely insane. And it just seemed like the entire show was epic. Literally the only disappointment, and only because I knew a Gravedigger was from the video game, Chucky Palkin went out and broke first hit. But I just thought the trucks were cool, and they did a bunch of crazy stuff and broke everything, and I just thought it was very, very entertaining. And I actually didn't go to a show for a couple of years after that. But ever since then, I was always playing video games. I was always trying to learn about the trucks, and I just thought they were super cool.
Man, that's cool. So what you get into watching the shows and stuff like that, but what got you intrigued saying, hey, this is pretty interesting, and I want to get further in depth and actually want to work and maybe focus on getting ready, want to drive a truck. How do you still remember the getting your foot in the door? I may just say the opportunity to go to the other side of the room.
My buddy Tommy Veriloni was very into rigs of rods. So he was actually playing a part in in running Joey Sylvester's Outlaw Monster Truck Drags on YouTube, the Rigs or Rods series. And I was just kind of tagging along, trying to learn about it. I had some conversations in Discords with Joey about the way they should run the shows and stuff like that. And he just kind of took a liking to me. When shows came back after COVID, I went to the Indianapolis four-wheel jamboree and helped Joey out. I didn't really help much because I didn't really know anything, but I kind of helped tire up and tire down. I helped wipe down the trucks. And then ever since then, I just tried to go to as many shows that he had as possible, whether I was getting paid gas money or nothing at all. It didn't matter. If the show was within 5 hours, I just tried to go. And I just tried to do a good job. And me and Joey struck up a friendship, and it kind of just went from there.
So you met Joey, and what was the conversation like with him, having him go, hey, is there a way for me to help out? And then, because I always tell people, I think the most important thing in the monster truck world is trust. Someone needs to trust you to run their equipment. Someone needs to trust you to work on their equipment. Unless you buy your own truck or go from that, the owners have to trust you as a personnel. So do you remember the talks that you had of him going, hey, I need a guy to wrench on these trucks?
Yeah. He just always knew that I was going to work my butt off whenever I was at the shows. And I always tried to do my best. I just tried to go to as many shows as possible. I've had so many people ask me how you get into the sport, and I was like, everybody has a different story. But at the end of the day, you have to be willing to give your time and show that you can work, and that's kind of how you're going to have to work your way into it. You can't just come into it hoping to make like a bunch of money or to just be handed things. You have to really, really work for it in this industry because, like you said, there's a lot of guys that kind of ruin it, that make them untrustworthy of people, and you have to prove yourself even more than you should have.
Yeah, that's true. I'm working on this thing. I'm also being a producer, so I'm doing all the jazz here. But you get the ball rolling with that too. You start renting, you start working on the Bad Habit truck, which Joey made a huge name for himself, and he always had that. I guess you would say that ragged edge type of deal. But when I know about what you have done, you also notice that social media is becoming a very, very important key factor in today's society and life. A lot of drivers enter so-called the monster truck world or racing in general just with the numbers of social people that they have in their media. Outside of someone having that thing, money. But I know Joey started a little bit on that when he was touring with I think Mike Vaughters Jr. When he was driving his dad, Mikey Jr.'s dad's Black Stallion, Mike Vaughters, and kind of a little bit of a gap. But it started kind of back up when you were there, and you were kind of, I guess you would say, the one that kind of pushed that social media presence and stuff like that. And it's crazy to see how how big that is, because you see all the background, the long hours of driving, the long work. I remember seeing the episode when you guys did one at Wheatland, Missouri for the Lucas Oil racetrack show, the one in October. And I thought that was pretty cool. So when did you always had an itch for that? And what did you see with the world of social media with monster trucks?
When I started crewing for him, I was like, just let me post some on your social media, because he wasn't too active because he's so busy. So I was like, I'm already recording the shows, like, just so he can critique himself and try to do a better job. It's the same thing I do with my driving. But I just wanted to make them into reels and YouTube videos and try to make them popular and maybe get some sponsorship opportunities and to catch the eye of people, which I feel like I did a pretty decent job of that. But I remember seeing randomly in my YouTube feed one of his My Monster Life videos, which is what you're talking about, where he was he was filming for one of the weekends that he was working for Mike and driving Black Stallion for Monster Jam. And I was like, these are pretty good, but I think we can do better. And I just started recording everything. It didn't matter if it was the dumbest thing or it was the coolest thing. I just started recording everything. And I tried to make them not too long that people wouldn't want to watch the whole thing, and not too short that people were like, this is lame. They should have put more in it. And even before I like helped Joey out or anything, I was always really into the behind the scenes stuff and camera work, which I think before I started filming for Joey is when my brother was telling me about, I think, that F1 show that shows you the behind the scenes of F1. And I thought that was a really, really cool concept. And I thought if somebody could do that with monster trucks, that would be really entertaining to people. Maybe even people that are into monster trucks, and they could bring them into the sport. And I don't think we ever quite got there production wise, but I tried to do the best that I could. The only thing I had to record with was my iPhone 14, which has a pretty good camera, but it lacks in some way, shape, or form, as phone cameras do. But that was a lot of fun for me. And I feel like I've kind of talked myself in a circle at this point.
It's all right. Just jumping through and stuff. So you run your time. Obviously, Joey later on after you left, sold the truck to Team Send It, and then now became one of their trucks running. But you met a former ex-girlfriend of his and his old chassis that is now sold to someone else in Michigan. Kyle Nickelbacher, I think him and his dad has that chassis now. But after you left or separated with the Bad Habit team, how did you get yourself in talks with Jerry Beck and Jess Beck and Team DCT Powersports?
He was looking for a crew guy, and me and him had kind of developed a relationship just throughout the last couple of years before I started working for him. And he took a liking to me. He knew the crew guy, and he knew that Joey was getting out, so he called me up. And we just kind of worked out the deal and everything. And he was like, come here and let me teach you how to drive the trucks. And so far, he's done a pretty good job because I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah, especially in Jerry Beck's university, you know, and he has grew as an owner leaps and bounds from his past. I was part of his team for 8 months and I got let go. So that was a learning lesson. Without that, I wouldn't be able to be part of Hall Brothers Racing. But I still talk to Jerry left and right, off and on, stuff like that. So you get to the campus of Jerry University, you know, the different places throughout the whole area, you know, your main building, and then you have the body shop building, and then you had the little garage where it has the Mevel, and then you you have all sorts of stuff like that in general. But when you first got there, and do you remember, you know, when you were crewing and stuff like that, did Jerry just come out of nowhere and just start talking to you, saying, hey, you want to try this driving gig out?
No, not really. I was already gonna leave Joey because I knew he was getting out. I was just trying to get on.
Oh, I was talking about when you're already on the team. Joey's already gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're talking about once I was crewing, me towards the driving thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was crewing and I was trying to learn as much as possible as fast as I could, so I could get Jerry to trust me to work on the trucks and keep everything running. And luckily, Jack Brown and Darren Basil both are like great people to learn from. So I got to spend a lot of time with them and learn so much stuff. I honestly, in my first few months working with Jerry, I probably learned more stuff than I did with Joey. And that's saying a lot because I learned a lot working for Joey. So it was a really good time. And then eventually Jerry was like, hey, man, I don't really feel like going to the show this weekend. So I'm just going to have you go and you can do the math. And I was like, okay, that was very vague, but pointed at the same time. And I was very excited. And so nervous, and I jumped way bigger than I should have because I had no idea how to gauge the speed on the truck. But it was still a good time nonetheless.
Yeah, you learn the way of monster truck life is sink or swim. But
Yeah.
you had two mentors that have probably 20 plus years of experience.
30,
One
20.
of them, longer than Jerry. You know, with the Basil. But you had Jack Brown, Aaron Basil. Man, having them in your corner, teaching you everything. They, you know, how were them, you know, being the mentors and stuff like that, on working on trucks and trying to, you know, not run around like a chicken's head cut off.
Oh, dude, it was wild. I just did a lot of watching them because neither one of them just kind of stand around and do nothing. And neither one of them are going to think it through and waste time. They're just going to do it. So they would just get right into whatever is broke and take care of it as fast as possible in the best way they could. And I just tried to absorb all that information, even though it's almost impossible not to forget stuff. But they both always knew the problems with the trucks and how to fix it very quickly. And I just tried to absorb it all, and it was super tough. But no guy's better to learn from at all. They're both great.
So you did your, you know, you're doing your time working, and now you're in the position where you're going to be bouncing back and forth, crewing, and then working on the trucks and stuff like that. And then I believe, you know, the Eddie trucks were starting to come about, and they had one, basically the DCT number 2. How did that conversation and talks of going, hey, we're going to have this truck, you know, you have an opportunity to campaign this chassis for, you know, whenever, now it's sold, but the time that you had it, I mean.
We were finishing up DCT 4. We were putting blockhead on it for Darren. And Jerry decided that we're going to run Maximus on DCT 2 for summer. And that was pretty much going to be my summer identity. And I just tried to have a really good time with it. It wasn't, it was, I already saw it coming, and I was very excited about driving the truck because even though it's an old chassis and a lot of the top half of the truck is the same, it's been for about 20 years, other than some added bars for protection and stuff like that. I was very excited to drive it because Darren has driven a lot of trucks. And he said that that's by far the best working truck that he's ever driven. So I was just stoked to be driving it, and I knew the shocks were going to work perfect. It landed like a pillow. It didn't look like it. Some people think it didn't look like it, but
Always has that Tom Mentz reaction
exactly.
sometimes,
Which I liked because it made me look out of control when I wasn't.
So, you know, you have that truck now outside, now being a crew guy, now you're a driver. So now we're going to have another question of what had, you know, Jerry, Jack, and Aaron helped you out being a driver. That's tons of experience right there. You know, Dirt Crew's celebrating, you know, Team DCT is celebrating 10 years in 2025. Dirt Crew, 10 years in 2025. So you have all that experience. So what was really key for them to help you out driving wise? Because, you know, every driver is different, but if you can gather information to help you out become better, then it is improving. You know, when I'm behind the wheel of the Hall Brothers truck that I'm driving, I always nitpick Mark and Kurt and even Dale. Sometimes I text message Jeremy or Matt Dishman just to help out. Especially the truck that I'm driving is Matt's old girl, number 9. And I haven't changed anything. Only thing I really changed is maybe the oil pump, updated stuff that the truck needs to be updated parts wise. But anything internally, like if I'm changing like a third member to a locker, nope, I left it alone. Shocks, left it alone. Stuff like that. The truck, the only thing really I had to modify the change is me, because Matt was like 6'2" and I'm 5'5". I can't really handle how he handles sitting there. I had to do it myself, but
Right.
I learned how to drive the truck accordingly. But I'm still driving the truck, learning how to handle, becoming comfortable. They always say seat time is very key, and I believe that. But sort of further down the line, you'll know how fast you need to hit the track, stuff like that. But with you driving shows and stuff, I know you said you were watching video and stuff, but do some of the drivers on your team come over to you saying, "Hey, you see that obstacle there, or down the race pass? Go ahead and maybe add a little bit more throttle, or maybe you need to slow down a little bit coming around that turn, or maybe seeing a little apex." I know that's a lot, but basically in a nutshell, the other team drivers on the team, do they help you a lot with guiding you to become a better driver?
Oh yeah, 100%. And the cool thing is they all want me to succeed. Nobody's afraid of anybody being better than anybody else. Um, when I watch Jerry drive, it's a lot of finesse, and that's what he usually always preaches is finesse. Like for example, if you're doing a slap wheelie, when the front end bounces, you ease into the throttle. You don't just mat it. That's how you break axle shafts and stuff like that. Which our stuff is super tough, so you don't really have to worry about breaking stuff too much. But nonetheless, you don't want to put any extra stress on the truck than there needs to be, and we can still run crazy the way that we do. And Jack and Darren, like whenever I'm getting down on myself at all, like confidence wise, both of them are the first ones to be like, dude, you can do it. Don't worry about it. Just drive how you're gonna drive confident. If you don't drive confident, you're gonna hurt the truck. And you're not gonna look good and nobody's gonna enjoy watching you. So while they're upbeat, they're also gonna tell you how it is also. But yeah, just driving, watching those three guys drive, all very different, is great because I can watch Darren hit a jump, I can watch Jack hit the same jump, and I can watch Jerry hit the same jump, and I can nitpick and watch, just like you said, what they do and how they do it, and try to imitate. Like at this point, every time I drive, I'm trying to drive just like all three of them, trying to just throw it all in a conglomeration and try to do the best job that I can. And I'm still nowhere near as good as any of the three of them, but I've gotten a lot better. I'm starting to get a little bit more technical, and I'm trying to stay confident, and I'm getting really, really good at understanding boundaries and where I'm at, which is good because at the toughest monster truck tour, we drive some really small arenas. So you need to know where you are at all times. You can't be hitting jersey barriers, or not jersey barriers. You can't be hitting like hockey barriers or fold out bleachers or anything like that. That cost a lot of money. So I'm excited to get out there at toughest and try to do the best that I can.
And also, I forgot one more driver that does that. I guess you'd say ride with you guys or fly in was Mullet. He did some stuff. I guess you guys did the Florida tour for All Star, and he helps out occasionally. But outside of that, I mean, you did some pretty awesome, good shows in the summertime. You were part of the Overdrive. You did some All Star shows. These shows are kind of typically like you did some throwdowns too.
Yep.
Those shows are basically outdoor toughest shows.
Yep.
And they're not easy slouches. They're good performing shows for areas that people are like, where the hell this is at? But they that doesn't matter where it's at. If the show's good, the show's good. So you getting into those tracks and learning about the angles of the jump and how you're coming around and you're thinking, oh, maybe I should hit this jackrabbit or maybe the sidecar. I'm just gonna do it anyway. How was that for you this summer, going to these kind of toughest Monster Jam S type shows in the summertime?
Oh, it was really fun, and one of the most fun shows that I did this year was very early in the summer, and it was Miami, Oklahoma for Matt Motorsports, and that's always a giant show. I think that's probably the most people I've had at a show that I performed at. I think the one night there was 7,000 people, and that was super cool because that's one of the only times I've ever been in the truck, and when I was out of the throttle, I could hear the people yelling, which was pretty cool. But being out there and doing those shows for Overdrive and All Star and Throwdown and Map, you never knew what you were getting every week. There was no repeats of tracks. Everything was different. Like I did a few Elliott shows for Monster Truck Throwdown where I think I did 3 weekends in a row, and the racing was different every week. Like one week there was a modified figure eight. The other week there was a Chicago style. The other weekend there was a modified Chicago style, which made it really interesting because I enjoy racing a lot, just as much, if not more, than freestyle. And I just like being on my toes. I don't want it to be predictable or the same every single weekend. I want it to be different.
Man, that's awesome. And going all those shows and stuff like that. But you're getting ready, like you said, for first quarter, the toughest monster truck tour. You know, it's a staple of the team. The team is a staple for the toughest tour. In your mindset right now, I mean, you're, like you said, you're not in the level of what Jerry and Jack and, you know, or I mean, Darren, because it's going to be you three, you, Aaron, and not Darren. I'm sorry, Basil brothers, for insulting you guys.
It's Darren.
Yeah, Darren. Darren and Jerry. I completely understand that they're gonna know that you're, you know, like you said, you're not on their level. But then again, there is a, what I am trying to put the word. There is a level to be part of that arena show, though. They don't just take a team that, you know, never downgrade. I don't never want to downgrade any other teams in the industry.
They have a performance level that you need.
They have a performance level that you have to go, and some people don't reach that performance level. Some people in the industry call toughest is the best arena show in the nation.
I'd agree with that.
And you have that bar to reach. You know, like the people have goals and mindsets to what they want, and you know, for you though, in your mentality though, because you're gonna be somewhat have a little bit of pressure because of that, but you want to hold your own and do what you need to do. You know, how do you handle that scenario, I guess?
I'm a person that's never gonna back away from a challenge. I don't care how hard something is. I'll give it all it takes. I'll give it all that I have. All I know is that I had some troubles the last 3 weeks of the season because we're having truck troubles. I was also working out some kinks because that truck sat for a minute and it's never good for trucks to sit. But I went out there for that last freestyle and I drove how I wanted to drive. I drove the truck hard and I did a really, really good job. And it honestly is probably the first time I've ever watched a video of my freestyle and didn't like it, because it's not that I've never had a good freestyle. It's that I'm so picky and I nitpick every little thing that I do because it's never good enough. And honestly, like Darren always says, Darren says the same thing. He's been driving for 23 years. He can watch any video that he's ever had. It could be his worst freestyle or his best freestyle, and he's going to be like, that sucked. That could have been better. And I feel like that's going to be me. Nothing's ever going to be good enough. I'm just going to try to do the best job and put on the best show for the fans. And the way that Brian Manson builds the toughest monster truck tracks, there's a lot of cool stuff to hit, and you can really make the truck do some stuff. You can stand it up on the back end, the wheelie. You can do some really big jumps, even though it's a small arena. And you can go out there and have a really good time. And also something else I really like about the toughest shows is the way they count the points. It's not really up for like personal opinion. They do a lot of consistent things. Like, for example, every ramp that you hit on the track counts as 1 point. So if you hit the front side of the racing ramp, it's 1 point. Hit the back side of the racing ramp, it's 1 point. Hit the back side of the FMX hill, it's 1 point. So I think that's cool as well.
And I think also people, even though they are known for their wheelies and freestyle, their racing's really good.
Yeah.
You know, that even though you're in a tight area, the ramps are pretty big too. I personally think if I was a driver, I'd be more intimidated on handling the racing portion because, you know, momentum for everything else, you know, it can help you out. But okay, well, if I kind of hammered on down this line, you're gonna be close to that wall before you know it.
Yeah.
And but then you have to be smooth like motocross, because you're coming, okay, you jump the first jump and you're coming around the turn. Well, you need to approach the jump not going too fast, but then again, you don't want to hit that back of the car where that's going to screw you up around the other turn.
Yep.
I feel like that the racing portion is, just as exciting. And you said you're a racing guy too, so that got to be an interesting challenge for you. Pretty exciting going to these small arenas. I know, like, I think if you guys are going back to Lafayette, I don't know what the schedule's
We
like.
are.
That's a decent sized floor.
Yeah.
I know there's one in North Dakota.
North
Grand
Dakota
Forks?
is Grand Forks. That's the final show. That's a stadium. So
Yeah,
it's got a floor.
you got a big show, but then you got shows with hockey arenas or a hockey-esque state arena like Wheeling, West Virginia, or Youngstown, Ohio.
Yeah.
You have arenas that are on top of a mountain like Casper, Wyoming.
Yeah.
Or New Mexico, Loveland, Colorado. You have all these different forms of arenas and stuff like that, so the floor sizes are always going to be changing.
Yep.
But sometimes the racing portion is still the same, the Chicago style racing that you normally have. So like I said, so the excitement has to be there for you, getting ready to go in racing.
Yeah. I don't like to give secrets away, but I'll say it anyways. A lot of times at toughest with the racing ramps, you actually want to kind of crawl over the second jump. Like you come off the first jump, you come around the corner, you kind of want to crawl over it, because really sometimes, depending on how it's built, if you hit it with any sort of speed whatsoever, you're getting way too much air, and you really need to get back on the ground as soon as possible. And usually the guys that win racing are the guys that do that. Unless it's just one of those wild shows where everybody's just going balls to the wall and you're both 30 feet in the air for the racing jumps. It just depends. But
another person that is probably gonna help you out big time with racing is, Darren Basil. I think his percentage of racing was really, really good. Most of the time I watch a video of a toughest show, he was in the winner's circle with Blockhead. And that'd be an awesome portion. But we're talking about racing here. And while we're going to talk about that, we're going to veer over because you have an opportunity where a lot of people haven't had one. They normally run a truck with another person that had an identity, or, they ran it for a little bit but disappeared on it. Yeah, you had Maximus, but the drivers that had Maximus still jumped around. People now think background dozer, Basil and Blockhead. Not a lot of people go, oh, Maximus, but it never really had its own, but it was already opened up. You, on the other hand, you're going to be debuting this truck, Cyber Attack. Very interesting. Half breed of a vehicle, a electric truck, but you're powered by a alcohol burning motor. You're coming out with this, so it's a multiple question. Actually, I'll ask that second one after this one, but the opportunity you got with this, I know Master of Faster helped out. They're good friends with Jerry and Jess, and coming up with this idea. What was the talks prior to? Were you knew there was going to be a situation, or were you caught off guard? And it had to be an honor for them to trust you with this new identity.
Yeah, I had absolutely no idea until I got the phone call from Jerry, because he's always bouncing ideas around. That's just how his brain works. He's always thinking of new ideas for everything, whether it's a new identity or something on the trucks that needs to be changed to make it work better. But I think I was in the shop working at home because I took the weekend off when they were in Charlotte, and Jerry was driving back, and all of a sudden I get a phone call from Jerry, and I answer, and he was like, "Hey, I have an idea for a new identity," and then he told me what it was. So I think I was actually one of the first people to know, which is cool, and it's fitting that I'm debuting the new identity. But yeah, I literally had no idea, and him and Jess were driving back from Charlotte, and they saw a Cybertruck, and they were like, "That's it. That's what we're going to do." And I think Jason with Master of Faster did a really good job of designing the truck. Whether it's the actual body itself, because he made a wood mold out of it for all the shaping of the metal for the body. And he came up with all the graphics as well. And I think it turned out really, really awesome. And the truck's actually about to be wrapped tonight. So we're getting closer to being able to show everybody what it truly looks like in real life. It's going to be really, really cool. And I am absolutely honored that Jess and Jerry would trust me with running this truck. And I think it's going to be really, really cool.
So have you sat inside of it, and how different is the vibe? Actually, for you, it's completely different because you're also going to be running a different chassis. The chassis that you previously drove in the summertime is actually not with the stable no more. It's sold to Kyle Knickerbocker and his dad up north in Michigan. So new identity, new body, new truck. But visually, though, I'm assuming, it's still a wide chassis truck. The previous chassis, it held an Escalade body for the longest time. It ran was probably one of the hardest visual trucks to deal with the quad body on it. Seeing that, but you had the helmet. Now you have kind of a vehicle type esque body on this one. So are you interested in the visual aspects? How easy was seeing through the helmet of a helmet? And now you got some A pillars and stuff like that in this Tesla pickup truck, Cybertruck.
Maximus is probably out of anybody in all monster trucks, Maximus may be the easiest to see out of, because you can literally see everything and there's no windshield. It's great. And I also drove Dirt Crew, which you can see really well out of that one as well. And I got to drive Dozer for the Florida shows, which was on DCT3. So I at least got to test drive that chassis before I ran it for Toughest. And my only problem that I had is, like, once you kind of get on the throttle, Dozer's blade's kind of hard to see over, in my opinion. But I've sat in the Cybertruck body, and the windows have not been cut out yet. So I don't know what it's going to be like seeing out of the sides, but the fenders have so much room to try to avoid getting hit by the tires that I think I'm actually going to be able to see pretty well out of the fenders to the sides. And the hood, because the windshield goes so far down the truck on Cybertrucks, I think I'm gonna be able to see out of it forward just fine.
So it already have a natural rake to it already. You don't have to adjust it, kind of like a hood of Jerry's truck, the Ram front end, where you have to maybe rake it to see better. This one already has a natural look and probably a wide visual with the windshield and stuff.
Yeah, if you actually if say the chassis is flat like this, the body's actually slightly angled like this.
Okay.
For a natural rake. So the entire body is raked, which I think is going to look pretty rad. It's the opposite of a Carolina squat.
Yeah. And see how the fans react and stuff like that. What is show number 1? I think that's the second week of January. Where is that actually?
That is in Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
Okay, so that'd be next week. Oh, yep, that'd be next week for you.
Yep.
And considering this is on the 31st December, and that'd be ready to go. And and then there you have this one, and then some big things coming. I don't want to really say out of the bag. You people have to see it in the second week, but with DCT Powersports, coming out and becoming, one of the hottest teams in monster trucks in the last, I guess you could say 7, 8 years. They were starting to become hot after, 2 years of Dumpy being around and stuff like that. So the legend or the pathway that Jerry's been doing on this team, it got to be awesome. And then he's spending, Dirt Crew's spending 10 years. It can't be said to be part of a really awesome team in Lafayette.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I'm very fortunate to be here. I'm even more fortunate I get to run the new identity for the Toughest Monster Truck Tour. Yeah, I'm really ready for the shows to start. That's what I'm ready for. I want to get that first intros out of the way where I'm going to want to throw up all over the dash of my truck and just get those nerves out of the way, because that's what I feel like before every show. I literally am sitting in the truck before intros. I want to throw up. Austin Tweedy said he's the same way. I'm not okay. Like, my stomach's killing me. And as soon as I go out for intros and get out of my truck to do intros, I'm fine. It's like it never happened.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm a butterfly giddy moment for me behind sitting there in the cab. I'm kind of like doing this a little bit just because, my palms are sweaty. Eminem doesn't lie about that song.
Yeah.
And then you're just there going, okay, because my head's like, what is the truck going to be like after the first hit? Because you have so many things. Oh, am I gonna do good? Am I gonna flop? Is the truck gonna break? By the time the first hit happens, for me driving the truck, everything disappears.
Yeah.
After that, I'm like, oh, okay, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna have some fun. Let's do our thing and go from there. And it's been pretty successful for me for doing that behind the wheel of either Raminator or Rammunition. It's just that first initial, I guess that's the same thing as someone fighting. A lot of the guys, they're nervous first until they take the first punch, and then the rest of it's they'll get ready to go for round the round unless the guy connects and then he's gone. But it wasn't like that nature, but the way they say it's like that. Or in football, the first decent hit or the first play, the adrenaline starts kicking, and it's the same way. I get like funny feelings and butterflies. I never really got the feel like throwing up part, but I get the nervousness. But then Gene Patterson, who drove Snakebite and Bigfoot, said that's what makes you a monster truck fan, is you're respecting the truck, but you're also respecting how you are behind the wheel. And that takes you pretty good on going down the line. And that'd be pretty cool. But is there any social media people could follow you at?
I'm on Instagram. It's a very arrogant sounding name, but it was just available when I made it. But official Jared Smith, JARED. But yeah, that's pretty much it, social media wise.
It's crazy to find out how your name gets taken. Like, I had to put MT_Dan Agosh 28 because Dan Agosh 28 was already taken, and I know I didn't make
one. Isn't that wild? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'm like, no one has my name. And it's like, boom. And then I Google search my last name, and there's like my last name's like a band from India. All the way in Asia that uses that name, my last name, as a band name. I guess they had a name, 28. And I was like, well, no one has Dan Agosh, but I guess it was taken. I don't know, whatever. But I had to go MT_ just to just go from there. So it's very surprising when you find out. I guess I can't use it.
Yeah, I wanted to use Jared Smith 25 because that's always been my number, but it was gone. 10 years ago it was gone, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy to say that. But Jared, thank you so much for being on, and can't wait to see how you go and get ready for the Toughest Monster Truck Tour.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna win a lot.
All right, there we go. Positivity, confidence is halfway there.
Yeah, speak it into existence.
But once again, fans, if you find my social media, MT_Dan Agosh 10 on Instagram, Facebook, Dan Agosh, Dan Cheech Agosh on Facebook. If you try to get a hold of Jared on Facebook, he's very hard to get to. For a guy who's really good at social media, doing all these YouTubes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now blame him on the Facebook.
I'm not good with Messenger. My marketplace, though, is at the top.
But go check a look at that. Brad Shaw, the Monster Truck Canucker on Instagram. I think he's also on Twitch and stuff like that. But this is the last episode for the 2024 season 7 season finale recorded because we have monster truck life to live in.
Yep.
The next episode is season number 8, the 10th anniversary of Crush This. New logos, new videos. We have a guest. I'll show up and do that and have some fun. And new videos, the same people, J Concepts, MTRC, Monster Truck Attitude, also Back Channel Productions. We're also going to welcome MW1 Entertainment, Mark Warner. He'll show some scheduling for his announcing and stuff like that. Be on the lookout for that, and go from there. So big deal, big things coming in for next year, and can't wait to see that. But thank you for another 10 years. We're going to be I say season 8, our iPod and Spotify counts as season 8 because we started that, but technically season 10. But we go from there. But outside of that, friends, family, please watch yourself. This is the 31st. It's very important. One phone call to get picked up is a lot better than getting arrested. DUI. Call your friends, call your family members, or stay the night. Hang your keys up. Also, people are staying at home. If you're watching this, well, thanks for watching. But if not, and you want to hang out, people are one phone call away. Just call your friends. Hey, you want to come over for New Year's Eve? Come on over. Have a good time. We're spending some time with friends and family and stuff like that. Like I said, check up on your friends and family. Brad always says that strongly. Holiday season's going on. Go take a look. Go see that. Invite someone that maybe that's not at home. A lot of us in the monster truck world, there's a lot of guys right now that are really can't go to their family because they're on the other side of the United States, getting ready for first quarter, heading over to getting ready for first quarter. The holiday season is very important. So if you are in the industry and you have friends and co-workers that are just chilling by themselves, invite them. Have a good time. Doesn't hurt to say, hey, come on over and have a good time and do that stuff also. Also with that too, donate blood. It helps out with the people that's in need also. The holiday season is important. Someone's right now at the hospital right now, needs some help, and also doing that. I know we joke around in our episode about getting your dogs and cats spayed and neutered because of Bob Barker and The Price is Right. But this winter season, animals need to come in. Their family too. Strays also. If you can get one that's cold, try to keep them warm. Have them inside. They have their lives too. So that's enough for the PSA. But next week we're starting off 10th season of Crush This. Awesome time. So thank you, Jared, for being the season finale for the 2024 year. 2025 for everyone here is going to be a big deal. Very exciting in the horizon. It's going to be really exciting, and good luck for you this season in the Cybertruck cyber attack, and have some fun at the toughest.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Congrats on 10 years.
Oh, thank you very much. So I'm Dan Chichegosh. Brad Shaw is somewhere in Canada celebrating New Year's Eve. He'll be back on next week. So keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. Peace.